Last week, I spoke about this difficulty we have when there's no religion, no God, nothing to turn to when things go wrong. Today, I'd like to talk about what has replaced that for me, my new relationship with God, if you will. As I will explain, I don't really use that term anymore, but I want to explain to you how I do find comfort and I do find like a sense of connection and a sense of something beyond and bigger than me without naming it or calling it God or anything like that. Actually, the thoughts for today came during one of my morning sessions. And as I have shared with you guys, each morning I focus on one of the three movements. The three movements being, in Yarus, we are lost, Vanitas, we can't ever reach, the end that we're longing for, and Rapax, this loneliness that we feel when we understand that we're in a world that is not really set up to as a win-win situation. It's survival of the fittest, and that's true as human beings, and it's true out there in the world, and that's a very hard thing to swallow. And that's the movement that I was focused on. And just to remind you, the breathing exercise that I do is I just face that. I face up to the fact that we are in a dog-eat-dog world, and I just breathe in compassion and exhale kindness. And that's my response to those things. Remember that in the face of this rapax, this, just the way people treat you, the frustrations with life, the stupid politicians, the whatever your gripe is, your wife, your landlord, your whatever your thing is, it's so easy in this world to be angry, just to live in constant anger toward the predators who are all around you. And when you look honestly at yourself, you realize you're kind of part of that too, that you're always kind of looking out for number one anyway. When we face that honestly, it's very understandable and kind of instinctive to turn to anger and then to go on the attack. Anger and attack. And so sometimes when I'm doing this, when I will just face up to this rapax, to my loneliness and frustration with things, and I'll just go anger, attack, and I'll do this shallow breathing thing just to remind myself how unsatisfying it is to live that way. So let me expand this a little bit. So I was doing that exercise, compassion, kindness, and I'm thinking about the people and situations in my life that I find difficult. But it suddenly hit me that my anger and attack is not only aimed at other people; it's aimed at God. I get mad at God. And okay, so what do I mean by God? Well, I look at the world and I say, who in the F, could have set this world up this way? What the? And I can just be angry about my very existence. And I can personify that anger as God. And what I have come to do with God is I don't use that word anymore. The word that I stumbled onto actually just a couple of months ago that's really resonating with me is unknown. I just use the word unknown for the divine, for the things that are above and beyond me, the things that, even in the Bible, God says, don't name me, don't make an image of me, don't try to picture me. So I think I'm even, in the lines of the Old Testament when I say, to me, I don't want to personify God, to call God Father or male or female or human. Why would we think, God is human? Although, if we're going to talk about the Bible, right on the first page, God is making us in his own image, which should make us a little suspicious about who wrote the Bible. But in any case, the wise person, I think, understands we just don't know. So when I get angry at God, I'm getting angry at an unknown. There's to my limited perception, this world looks like just a big violent fight, and I just get angry about the way the world is set up, and everything from lions devouring the wildebeests, or us devouring each other, or the way the mosquitoes land on my arm, and why? I have so many questions about the suffering and about the violence and about why the world is the way it is. And if I can't answer those questions, I can't answer those questions. It's so understandable, though, to be angry about it, to look at my existence, to look at the world, and just be angry at unknown and go on the attack. And it's especially easy, right, if I personify that unknown and say, well, God, what are you doing? And we do all these theological gyrations to try to get God off the hook. The fancy word for that is theodicy, this dilemma that we have with a God who supposedly loves us, but this world that is set up in a way that no loving God would create. So we just our brain can't comprehend that. So what I've realized, what I'm struggling here to say, is that my breakthrough has come in not getting angry about what I don't know. I look even at God, even at unknown, and say, compassion, kindness, rapax. I face it. I see what I see as a human. It looks how it looks. But I also understand that as a human, I just see a tiny sliver. There's so much I don't know. So I refuse to condemn. I've refused to get angry about what I don't know. And I choose compassion and kindness even to whatever force or being or process or whatever the unknown is. I choose compassion and kindness, not because I have a reason for that, only because I find that to be the life-giving for myself. It is miserable to be at odds with the fabric of my existence, to look at this world and say, everything in this world is stupid except for me, or to stand in judgment of the very ground I stand on, the universe I live in, whatever it is behind that. That alienates me from my place in this cosmos, whatever that cosmos, that big picture is. So I choose compassion and kindness, not because I understand it or because it makes sense, but because I find that it is the best way to be. When I choose compassion and kindness, then I open my heart and connect with the world around me. And I find that connection is profound and meaningful. And when I look at other created things, I don't see them, like birds just shaking their fist at heaven, or worms or trees. Everything seems to adopt a stance toward its existence as gratitude and acceptance, and like just not condemning the very ground we stand on. So that's how compassion and kindness for me is extended not just to other people, but even to unknown. Now, there's another thing that hit me in that same morning. I realized, oh, I'm not just getting angry and attacking unknown. I'm getting angry and attacking myself. I need to show myself compassion and kindness. It's really understandable. There's so many things that I look at about myself that I don't like. I wish I was 20 pounds lighter. I wish I was more disciplined. I should be more this. I should be more that. Why did I make this decision? How come I could be so stupid about, so probably the person in the world whom I am most hostile toward is myself. And I think that's true of just about everyone. We we hide it. I mean, we take care of ourselves, and we find ways to minimize our suffering and our pain. We take care of ourselves, but I really do think that for many people there is just this underlying current of self-loathing. And that is miserable. And it's this anger toward ourselves for being so fill in the blank. And then we go on the attack. Okay, I know what I do. I will punish myself. I will whatever. I'm only going to eat carrots for the next week because whatever, or some diet, or to lose weight, or okay. We just go around shaking our heads at ourselves for, I'm a musician. So sometimes we'll do a performance and I'll miss notes and I'll be, I just loathe myself for not living up to the standard of perfect music that I aim for. And I'll just attack myself. Now, I wouldn't be that hard on anyone else, but I do it to myself. What I'm saying is, not only is it tempting to reject, to be angry, and to attack the unknown, the force behind all this, it's easy to get angry and attack myself. And when I do that, just as when I get angry toward the unknown, I alienate myself from the world around me. When I get angry and attack myself, I am alienated from myself. Stop and think about what a miserable situation that is. To live in this body, to exist and feel at odds with the universe, the cosmos around us, and to feel alienated from ourselves. That's misery. So I have discovered that this connection with God is rooted in compassion and kindness, facing the reality that, yes, sometimes, I fall short of what I wish I did. Sometimes, many times, I can't explain the unknown. I mean, actually, when I say that sentence, it sounds stupid. How could you explain something you don't know? But I look and I've because of some logical grid that I have put on the world or reality, when it breaks and it doesn't live up to what I think it should or behave how I think it should, I get angry. But I'm angry at something I don't understand. So radical acceptance of the unknown has allowed me to embrace without judgment and to feel this connection and to really feel a kindness not only flowing from me to the unknown, but from the unknown to me. There's this connection. And the same thing happens with myself. I feel this connection with myself when I stop judging myself and have compassion toward myself and treat myself with kindness. Now, that doesn't mean self-indulgence, because if I really care about myself, maybe I will go on the carrot diet. But I don't do it with the idea like, I'll beat you into shape, you SOB. That's not how I look at myself. It's that, hey, you will feel so much better, and you will live your life so much more fully when you are in this healthy state. It's an act of kindness and compassion that causes me to exercise discipline or to make choices. I don't even really like the word discipline because I find it to be pretty unproductive. What I am trying to do is shift that into just pure indulgence. I want to fully indulge myself, and that means that I am going to treat my body with kindness and not abuse it with whatever, giant bowls of popcorn or four slices of cake or two bowls of ice cream, or these are just my particular sins. You may have your own. Oh gosh. So as I think through this, I hope I'm beginning to explain, or this podcast, it really is. You're seeing me on my cutting edge. Even as I'm saying these things, I'm wrestling with them. And I don't know if you can see that. It's not like I'm sitting in front of this camera or coming to you with everything all put together with a bow on it. I'm wrestling with these things, and maybe you can see that. But one of the things that, going back to the very beginning of just like, what is this relationship with God like now? Well, it's existential. And that may just sound really abstract and unmeaningful, but what I'm trying to show you is it is deeply meaningful, because it's not rooted in a story about the world. It's not rooted in some hard model or expectation that I put on myself. It's rooted in my very existence. I find that it is much more, I feel much more alive. I feel much more authentic and myself when I refuse to judge the unknown and get angry. When I choose to live with compassion and kindness and receive that kindness coming back to me, and just like letting go of my judgment of the unknown. And I feel that same deeper sense of authenticity, joy of living, aliveness, when I refuse to judge myself and condemn myself, and when I treat myself with compassion and kindness. When I do that, I feel this authentic being that is rooted in my existence. This is not story-based. It's based on my existence. I'm saying, what does it mean to be the most authentic and real person that I can be, to exist in this body in the fullest way possible? Well, it's compassion and kindness. And I do it, and I do that because it's not just some theoretical thing. I feel like I'm actually touching reality, capital R, not by figuring it out and explaining it or reducing it to a story, but by embracing what reality, without trying to explain it all, and just entering into it. Compassion and kindness are rooted in my existence. So if someone, thanks me for being kind to them, the honest truth, I would never say this to them, but the truth is, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. I mean, that may sound like kind of cold. Of course I'm doing it for the other person. I find the joy in that, and I would never say, oh, I'm not doing it for you. Of course I'm doing it for them, but at a deeper level, when I am compassionate to someone, when I am compassionate toward myself, when I am compassionate toward the unknown, which I can't explain, I'm not doing that for the unknown. I'm not doing that for myself. I'm not doing that for you. I'm doing that because it's the most profound, meaningful, alive way to be. It is rooted in my existence. And that's what I mean by existential. It's kind of the difference between talking about God, fill in, the blank with whatever God, this concrete thing, this image in our mind, to use the biblical term, an idol in our head that we use to sort of personify God. Letting go of that and replacing that with a direct connection with the unknown, with my existence, because there just isn't this line between me and it, and that I can define, and to fully accept my perception, to lean into the fullness of my existence. That's how I commune, exist with God. And it is deeply profound. It's more profound than when I thought I had God figured out, and he was a man with a beard in the sky and the sun and the Holy Spirit, and then I just had it all figured out how that all worked. And when I pray, and I need to pray this way, I need to start this way, and then that. I mean, I had this whole system of how to communicate, right, with this God in my mind, and now it's more like just touching. Oh, I know. I need to stop. but just to give one last analogy, it's the difference between having an intellectual discussion with my wife and just hugging her and just feeling her in my arms. That's existentialism. That's my existential connection with God. I would love to hear what you think about this, if anything at all. I would love to continue this as a conversation. So I invite you again to join the Facing Up Club. Link is always below there. And, I would love to just carry this on, because I'm sure you have thoughts, maybe questions, maybe you think I'm off my rocker. I am in a rocking chair. Maybe I've fallen off of it. Oh, in any case, I hope you're having fun getting ready for the holiday season, and I'll see you again next week.